A Columbia student is released from federal custody following the Trump administration's efforts to deport him.
The US and Ukraine strike a deal on mineral rights. What will that mean for the war?
And as the warm weather arrives, outdoor dining returns to the streets of New York.
These stories and more coming up on CJS News.
Good afternoon and welcome to CJS News. I'm Blythe Reese.
And I'm Yumna Sukar. Thanks for joining us.
Breaking news as we come on the air. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from using a centuries-old wartime law to deport a group of Venezuelans. The judge ruled that the 1798 Alien Enemies Act cannot be used against people who the administration accuses of being gang members.
And President Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, is out. The president is moving Waltz to a different post. He'll now serve as ambassador to the UN. Waltz has been on thin ice since last month when it was revealed that he added a journalist to a private chat on the app Signal. The chat, which included Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, revealed plans for military strikes on targets in Yemen.
A Columbia University student and Palestinian activist has been released from federal immigration custody. Mohsen Madawi was in the U.S. legally on a green card. He was detained last month in Vermont during his citizenship interview. Yesterday, a judge ordered him freed, saying, quote, "Offending political opponents or alarming the State Department doesn't make him dangerous enough to detain."
He has made a very brave decision to let me out, and this is what justice is. And for anybody who's doubting justice, this is a light of hope, a hope and faith in the justice system in America. To President Trump and his cabinet, yes, I am not afraid of you.
Madawi's immigration case isn't over. He's expected to appear remotely before an immigration judge sometime today. This week, President Trump marked his 100th day in office.
This afternoon, we take you through some of the moments that have defined his presidency so far. Immediately following his inauguration, President Trump set up the Department of Governmental Agency, or DOGE, to slash government spending. Within days, DOGE froze all foreign aid and fired nearly 6,000 U.S. aid workers. In early February, President Trump imposed tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. Later that month, he and Vice President Vance shared a heated exchange with Ukraine's President, Volodymyr Zelensky. The meeting was supposed to lead to a ceasefire. It didn't. In March, the Trump administration began arresting international students who protested the war in Gaza. Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University graduate and green card holder, has now spent 54 days in a Louisiana detention center. 1,500 students have had their visas revoked. Also in March, President Trump threatened to pull $400 million from Columbia University for what he says was a failure to protect Jewish students on campus. Columbia accepted the administration's demands and changed its protest policy. In April, Harvard refused to do that and sued the administration to reclaim $2.2 billion in frozen federal funds. Polling by ABC News and The Washington Post found that Trump has the lowest 100-day approval rating of any president in the past 80 years.
Many Gen Z Americans are weighing in on Trump's first 100 days. They say they're skeptical of his approach to the economy, but still optimistic about their financial futures. CJS social media reporter Ruby Rohn has the story.
When Donald Trump took office in January, he promised financial growth. Now it's been 100 days, and I'm going around Washington Square Park asking Gen Zers their opinion about their financial situations.
I think I'm doing pretty good right now. I mean, prices are going up because of tariffs and whatnot, but I'm not directly affected by anything just yet.
This month, the stock market took its biggest hit when Trump imposed global tariffs. The Dow fell over 2,000 points and the Nasdaq tumbled nearly 6%. Earlier this week, President Trump defended the tariffs to ABC's Terry Moran.
Everything's going to be just fine. It wouldn't have been if I didn't do this.
30% of Gen Z say their finances have gotten worse over the past year. 27% say they've improved, and 43% say nothing's changed. Still, nearly 70% disagree with how Trump is handling the economy and inflation.
I don't think Trump is necessarily worried about that. I think he's really worried about how to make the rich richer.
America's youngest voters are watching closely and weighing the cost of the next 4 years. In Washington Square Park, Ruby Roan, CJS News.
The Trump administration recently deported 3 U.S. citizens, a 2-, 3-, and a 7-year-old, along with their mothers. One of the children has stage 4 cancer, and the mom is now unable to get in touch with the child's doctors. Last month, the administration terminated funding for legal services to unaccompanied migrant children. The children appear in court in front of immigration judges by themselves. They are classified as unaccompanied minors, or children that come to the U.S. without parents or legal guardians. They usually stay in shelters. Without proper legal representation, these children are more likely to be deported. Several nonprofits are suing the administration to contest the terminated contract, but the impact is already being felt.
And now to international news. Tensions in Yemen, Kashmir, and Ukraine. CJS reporter Carolina Pedrazzi is outside the Ukrainian consulate in Midtown with more. Carolina?
Yes, Yumna, thank you. Just yesterday, Ukraine and the U.S. signed an important minerals deal which will allow the U.S. to access Ukraine's resources. But first, here's a roundup from conflicts around the world.
First up, the Middle East. This week, a U.S. airstrike on a migrant detention center in Sa'ada, Yemen, killed 68 African migrants and injured dozens more. The Trump administration says Operation Rough Rider has hit over 800 Houthi military targets, but civilian casualties in Yemen are mounting. Notably, a U.S. airstrike on the Ras Isa fuel port killed 74 civilians and injured hundreds more. And last weekend, a strike on a crowded marketplace in Sana'a, the Yemeni capital, killed dozens, although the U.S. has not claimed responsibility for it. The U.S. military campaign on the Red Sea has already cost the U.S. over $1 billion. Now moving to South Asia. Tensions between India and Pakistan are escalating after a terror attack in Indian-controlled Kashmir. In late April, a gunman opened fire at a tourist resort, killing 26 people. In the days since, the nuclear-armed neighbors have exchanged gunfire, with Pakistan's defense minister warning of an imminent Indian military response. This flare-up reignites long-standing hostilities and territorial disputes over Kashmir. Public anger in India is high, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi threatening to pull out of the Indus Water Treaty, which millions of Pakistani depend on. And finally, the war in Ukraine. Russia earlier this week announced a 72-hour ceasefire in Ukraine starting May 8th, but Kiev has dismissed it as insufficient, following this year's deadliest Russian airstrike, which killed 12 and injured 87. Ukraine's foreign minister says true peace requires an immediate and complete halt to hostilities.
The deal signed yesterday comes after weeks of fraught negotiations as President Trump had threatened to pull out of peace talks. Yumna.
And Carolina, could this minerals deal have any effect on the war in Ukraine?
Well, the US and Ukraine are negotiating peace talks and the mineral deal separately, but this will send a message to Russia that the US is committed in supporting Ukraine, as the US is directly invested in the country at war now. Yumna, back to you.
Thanks, Carolina. Staying overseas, where power is finally returning to parts of Spain and Portugal. Earlier this week, a widespread outage brought most of both countries to a standstill. The blackouts grounded planes, halted public transportation, and forced hospitals to suspend routine operations. Officials have yet to identify a cause. Canadians went to the polls earlier this week, and Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal Party won enough seats to form a government. On Tuesday, Carney took the election victory, but his party fell short of winning the majority in Parliament. They'll need help from another smaller party to pass legislation. Carney's main opponent styled himself after President Trump, and Carney's win is seen as a rebuke of Trump. Carney assumed the role of Prime Minister back in early March after Justin Trudeau resigned.
Mother's Day is coming up, a time for celebration, but also awareness of the challenges moms face, especially moms of color. CJS reporter Christine Stoddard is live outside Woodhull Hospital in Brooklyn with the story. Christine?
Thanks, Blythe. One local lawmaker wants to change a troubling statistic. Here in New York City, Black moms during pregnancy and childbirth have a mortality rate as much as 12 times that of white mothers. That statistic shocked Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, especially since he's a dad. So he's funding maternal health with a big chunk of his budget, more than $45 million.
I want to make Brooklyn the safest place in all of New York City for Black women to have babies.
Reynoso's money is helping 3 public Brooklyn hospitals renovate their women's health services spaces. A total of $50,000 will go to several local nonprofits. Expecting Relief got $5,000 to provide diapers and baby clothes, plus workshops that teach infant CPR.
If these services are made known to the mothers, it would definitely help to decrease the mortality and the morbidity rates of infant child death and maternal death as well.
The funding helps, and so does awareness. Ruby, a Bushwick mom, says people need to understand what it feels like when a doctor or nurse dismisses you.
Like, they'll judge you before they know who you are. And I think that's a lot of the reasons how certain things happen, because it's like, oh, here comes another Black girl coming in.
Holly Harper routinely faced racism at the doctor's office.
Even before I had babies, I had gynecologists that would say terrible things to me, like terrible things to me. So when I had a baby, I was like, oh, wow, I guess racism just follows you for every phase of life.
In 2021, the city started offering doula services to income qualifying mothers. Mary Powell Thomas, director of the initiative, says many mothers choose doulas on the advice of trusted friends.
And another reason, honestly, is fear. A lot of our clients have heard the stories and the statistics, and they say, I don't want to be another Black woman who's a statistic.
Recently, Governor Hochul established statewide Medicaid coverage for doulas and the first ever doula directory so that moms can easily find providers who accept Medicaid. Live from Bed-Stuy, I'm Christine Stoddard for CJS News.
Thank you, Christine. As New York finally begins to defrost and people search for ways to enjoy the warmth, outdoor dining spaces are back. According to the Department of Transportation, 600 restaurants have already received the okay to build outdoor dining structures. Most of these structures are covered, and the floors have to be lightweight so that they can be lifted and cleaned every week. Some critics say rats, garbage, and other issues are reason to remove outdoor dining. The DOT also approved 2,000 locations for sidewalk dining. These curbside dining spaces first appeared during COVID. For now, you can enjoy an outdoor meal from April 1st to November 29th, but there are proposals to make outdoor dining year-round.
From dining outdoors to celebrating the out of doors, Earth Day has come and gone, but one local church is working to make the impacts long-lasting. Our social media reporter John Williams has more.
That's next to create an organization, youth-based organization in the village of Harlem to get our kids involved in this.
Earth Day is an annual celebration and commemoration on April 22nd of each year. But one Harlem church group aims to take action beyond just one day. St. Charles Borromeo's Social Justice Ministry hosted its 4th annual Earth Day Forum themed Our Power, Our Planet. The group's goal is intergenerational environmental justice for the Harlem community. Organizers are also teaming with advocacy groups and local elected officials in support of New York's climate education bill and the Earth Bill introduced in the U.S. Congress. This comes as experts worry about the possibility of an executive order, this time targeting climate change and environmental policy.
All these organizations have done all this work all these years to finally make some headway on addressing climate change. And then this administration comes in and they're just undoing everything.
This group plans to push forward in its efforts to bridge generational gaps in climate and environmental work and activism. In Harlem, John Williams, CJS News.
Thanks, John. Blythe, that has me thinking, you know what rhymes with Earth Day? Birthday. And it's our John Williams' very own special day today.
Such a great day. We all love John here at CJS News. He is a great reporter, a great friend, and just brings the best vibes to the newsroom.
Absolutely. And on that note, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll see you next week.